Abuna Bashoy Elantoni, the Managing Director of CYC. Thank you for being here with us today.
It's a blessing to be with you.
Thank you. So today we have a really interesting topic, one topic that we haven't done before, and it is about Coptic schools. And I know there are a few of them, but we just really had a few questions about the Coptic schools. So I believe that in the North America right now we have St. Clement in Nashville, and that's a preschool to middle school. And then we have Little Flock Christian School in DC, and that's preschool to kindergarten. And then we have Philopatir Christian College. So with such a large Coptic population in many different states, and of course we're coming from Florida today, broadcasting from Florida, you think it's a good opportunity to introduce more Coptic Christian academics in schools?
I think it's very important because, as you can see, it's not an easy target for the parents to raise their kids in public schools with a lot of bad information they get and everything against our belief and our Christianity. So I think, yes, we are in need of many schools as much as we can, but I know it's not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy because I think there has to be the standards, and then you have to find the people to teach, and making sure that they're getting like
qualifications.
Exactly, the qualifications. So I think about it's not just about the religion side. Of course, I feel like we'd have that covered for the most part, but like the education piece of it too. So to qualify, as a school. So what would you think the difference would be though? Like for example, I went to public school for some of my life, and then I also went to Catholic school. So I guess what would be the benefit of, the Coptic schools over maybe just us going to a Catholic school
or Christian
or
school
average
of some
Catholic
kind?
school?
It's you know that as Coptic we have our own. I'm not saying about the faith. The faith is almost the same like any other churches, but our culture, our tradition, even culture in the West, it's completely different from the Western people. I mean, we talk to our kids about purity and about many other things that it's not even they think about it sometimes in other even Catholic schools. I'm so sorry to say that, but that actually one of the fathers went to one of the Catholic schools, girls' Catholic schools in California, and the sister said that thank God it never happened that one of our girls got pregnant.
It's an all-girls school.
So he said that's great. So you taught them about purity. She said, no, we give them pills always.
Oh my goodness,
no.
So it was shocking for him,
Yeah.
and he came and told us,
That's crazy.
I can't believe it. So actually, I'm sure you know aware about their culture and their understanding and way of thinking.
Yeah.
Yes, and in the Western countries, it can. It's not a big deal to talk about that.
But would that mean if the Coptic schools are already open, it's only open for the Coptic congregation?
No.
Because then it would be flooded also.
No, you can't fill a school with Coptic kids at all.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's at the same time it's a missionary work. Like in the Catholic churches, when they open their schools everywhere in the world since 19 something, it was really as a mission work because our kids, even in Egypt, they were in Catholic school. They learned a lot about Catholic and those who are not Christian at all, like Muslims, and grow up in Catholic school, they were better in behavior than the other Muslim and public schools. Or the worst is Islamic schools.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I guess that leads us to our second question is, with all the points that you're bringing with how we could use them to evangelize and how difficult it is to raise kids in schools, even Christian schools these days, do we see a strong need for Coptic schools now?
For sure, a very, very strong need.
Yeah.
But how? The how, it's more important that yes, we need, and
Yeah.
everyone knows that we need.
Yeah.
But I know it's a very, very big responsibility for bishops and fathers to start schools in their churches or close to their church and their parishes. It's not an easy thing. Not only, as Susan said,
The religion, it's like, it's
that the
it's an
people
undertaking.
can work.
It's, yeah.
Actually, we have a lot of young
Teachers,
a lot.
But
so
still,
Coptic,
it's
yeah.
there's so much that has to happen before that. There's the involvement of the government and the federal implications and what that has to do with. It's not anyone can't just wake up one day and decide to open a school.
That's right.
It's the legalities behind
it will be the biggest problem. Trust me, Christine, the money.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of
the
course.
sources,
Of the church
yeah.
Of
and the
course.
school.
Yeah.
Like, where's the money going to come from? From the church itself, or is it going to come from the diocese, or is it going to
Yeah.
come from the
And
people?
you know, most of the churches in debt. I mean, they have
Yeah.
a mortgage, very high mortgage, and they keep paying it. To have another school close to the church, or even in one diocese, the dioceses are already under
In debt a
of-
lot.
yeah.
And I feel like even just to keep, I guess, the governmental involvement at a minimum, that's why schools like this have to be funded primarily by donation. The diocese has to pay for this so that we don't have to then abide by certain standards that are, like those standards are what led to an all-girls Catholic school giving birth control pills to its daughter, to its students, you know? So to be able to run the school in a way that we religiously agree with, I feel like we have to try and be as self-sufficient as possible financially too.
Yeah, I think the best way is if the parents understand the needs.
Yes.
So we have to make awareness among our congregation to know how much important to have Coptic schools.
Yeah.
Even not for your kids, for another kid that in need of that.
Yeah.
So if the people understand they can donate just for schools,
Yeah.
away completely from the church. And once we have enough money to start a school, we'll do that for sure.
Would we think that, I mean, just thinking ahead, like through, like it's funny, my children are in a Lutheran school, by the way, and clearly we're not Lutheran, but like it's a very loving, and they're still teaching them the Bible, and you know, it's a very, very loving, and they go to chapel, and
Yeah.
those things. It's just like, I want them to at least have that as opposed to, you know, not having that.
It's better than
Nothing, exactly. But like we pay tuition.
Yeah.
So like, is it something that we would think of with a tuition?
Yeah.
I wonder if
Yeah,
like,
the
that's an
problem with the
option.
Coptic school always with the tuition that everyone says, Father, I don't have enough money.
Yeah.
Can you take my kids? And this is, no, it has to be very strict. Yes,
Yeah.
tuition. Yes, not very high tuition, so the people can find privilege to take their kids into our schools.
So can they make a Coptic Orthodox school but separate from the church? Like or does it have to be part of the church, like financially wise? So we never come to the point of saying, I don't have money, then there's some sort of a scholarship, or, you know what I'm trying to say? They can't go through the church to get into school, like more of like as if anybody have a building and they have a certificate to start a daycare, and that's separate from the
But the
church
only issue
itself.
is there's probably still going to be debt regardless, you know, because like they still need a building to purchase.
Yeah.
Like I would assume there would always be payments that have to be made.
Because I see a lot of churches that have a building, their Sunday school rooms, and then they put it under like separate LLC,
Yeah.
and then they would just put it separate. So if it's separate entity, like a business, and then it's a completely separate tax ID, and then they would utilize it separate from the church, then when they come to it, then it's completely separate. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. You're
I don't know about this. I am, but I don't do this.
I was just thinking, like, you know, that way it's actually separate from the church, and it's
Yeah. I
we
think
help
that's a
them.
really good
It's
question.
just I don't know.
Once the church understand the needs,
Yeah.
I mean the congregation understand the needs, and they will go for it, all of them together. We'll find someone will think about financial stuff, another one about government stuff,
Got our lawyer.
and teaching stuff, and it will be like a committee in every school to start the school, like any business, how it starts.
Like a board or something.
I think it's a lot of people when they hear, like, as a Coptic congregation, as a mom who I struggle to make sure I provide everything I can for my children. the need for like a good strong foundation
Yeah.
is extremely crucial. Like academics always comes. I feel that's my
but
own
it's
point.
the other part.
But it's the other part that it comes in without in need,
Yes.
and it kind of builds in. And when they're so young and they're sponges and they pick up everything they hear, so I feel like you send them to school knowing that this is your belief, this is the foundation, this is an extent from home. Then it kind of feel like comfort. So I hope that when congregation actually see that, and they see, yes, this is going to be an extent of my faith. This is a place where they can send them to grow spiritually and grow emotionally and grow mentally
Psychologically,
and psychologically
Sometimes, sometimes the schools academically not the same standard like other good schools, old schools already been there. But I will tell you something. In Australia, for example, I've been there many times, and I know what is going on with the school, Coptic schools. They have 3 Coptic schools in Sydney only. And actually, the people, those who decided no, academically is the most important thing. They took them to another schools, and when they found their kids start to lose their faith, start to stray, they said, no, we'll take them back to the Coptic school because it doesn't matter about academic. And actually, one of the very successful schools in Australia is Coptic school, because one of the top of the schools
you
can
area.
find it one of the first 100 schools
Like
all over,
academically.
all over New South Wales. Yeah,
That's
academically,
awesome.
yeah.
And so, like, I know it's funny. I go to St. Athanasius, and like our congregation, the kids, like our kids are like from 3 years old to 8 years old, you know, and there's a lot of them. Like they outnumber the grown-ups,
everybody else.
the adults. And so we've actually thought, we were even talking about like the need is there. And our building was used to be a school. It used to be a school, you know. So it's like we have some of the facilities, but maybe we need to partner with some of the ones that are established to get it going. But when you travel so much and you see so many different congregations, I know we have a need, but do you see a need with all the other congregations where you travel?
Yeah, everywhere. Outside of Egypt?
Yeah. Or even in Egypt. Even in Egypt,
Even Egypt itself.
Yeah.
I mean, but very, very big need. But the people always thinking that in the old days, in our church, we had many Coptic schools in Egypt. Many Coptic schools.
Not
didn't know
Sunday
that.
school, like actual
No,
school?
actual schools. And the first school for girls was Coptic in Egypt for girls. And the time of Pope Kyrillus IV. He was pioneer. He said we have to teach the girls. But with the governments that gone one after one, they took the schools and they changed their names and they make it belongs to the government, not belongs to the Copts. So we lost all of them. Nowadays, thank God, they are starting to, little by little, one in called El Karma, belongs to Amba Daniel in Maadi, and there is one in Claude Beck, I think, and one for Amba Botros, St. John, the beloved. So you can find starting now this trend of having some schools for Coptic.
I feel like I'm the only one of us who doesn't have kids, and as somebody from my generation, it's a real fear that we're all thinking about. If schools are how they are, and if kids have gone as far as they have, what is everything going to be like by the time I have children? Where am I going to put them? There are no great options. I know the children who grew up in Catholic schools, and I'm not fully in line with their...
Hey, man.
I mean, your kids are still young.
No, I did. I grew up in Catholic
I didn't
school.
say everyone. I didn't say everyone.
But they actually...
Plus, times are different. Like, things
Yeah,
are...
yeah.
Like,
No,
kids
but by the way,
year
like,
by year, kids are different.
But even, no, I'm not even just messing with you, but like...
You're perfect.
Clearly. No, but like, honestly, like when I look look back, there were so many times in my life that what we would be taught in church would be conflicting with what
what's in
I was
school.
seeing or being taught. Like, for example, and I was just talking to some friends about this today, like all the dances, you know, like all the dances.
We wouldn't have
like,
that.
Yeah, you know, and there's this like pressure to go and to them and everybody in this
And then
dance
everything that
and-
it implies.
Exactly. But clearly, like, it wasn't allowed, you know? And so, like, you know, it's just that conflict. So it is, and especially those are like, you know, those are the years that you are being shaped.
Yes.
You know,
and
like,
that prepares you then for college,
Exactly,
where you're
when
then
you're
being
on
pushed
your
even
own.
more to doubt your
Yeah.
faith and just the psychological battles that you face then. And I've even, my friends who grew up with me who are not Coptic, just knowing the church that I grew up in and how orthodox we are in our Christianity and our values, when I've discussed with them the idea of a Coptic school, they would send their kids because they know that we are still very orthodox in our Christian values and ways. And they trust that more than even the modern Catholic and Christian Lutheran
So,
schools.
Bruna, based on your experience, like, what would be the best way then? What would be the best, like, what would be the first step to do something?
The leaders of the church has to start to make a kind of awareness program among our congregation everywhere, and discuss with them openly about the need of schools like that. And once they will put into consideration, I know our congregation is very generous, especially when it comes to their kids.
Yeah.
They will do their best to
Yeah.
start schools everywhere.
I feel like it literally has to be almost a separate
Funding.
bank account or something that we
Yeah.
set up where we're funding specifically at this goal and you're donating specifically for that goal.
Yeah.
Because like, and even to your point about, or maybe to Abuna's point about the kids that have financial hardship, even in Catholic and in public and all these schools, if we have a strong enough financial basis, then there can be an application. That's like if your family is below this poverty line, we have a good set of money where like we could provide a bit of assistance to low income or
Or
something
the higher
like that.
academic
Yes.
level, then there's some sort
Yeah.
of scholarship. Yeah.
Some
Yes.
just to help.
Yeah, yeah. Like families that could, for example, like you sponsor kids
Yeah.
to get through
Yeah.
school, you know?
So I wonder, like, does Australia have some sort of, like, I feel like we could learn from them,
Yes.
you know, like with the way that they've been successful in their schools. I'm
Yeah.
wondering if they have like some sort of startup program that we could really learn
Implement,
from.
you know,
Yeah, and
copy.
implement.
But it was long time ago. They didn't start now. I mean,
Okay.
they started
Forever ago?
more than 15 years ago or so.
Okay.
So they're doing.
Established.
They're
They're
established,
very
but
established,
new
uh,
enough to tell us what to do.
Yeah.
They can come here and tell us.
And we have also in Melbourne another school. So in Sydney 3 schools and in Melbourne 1 school.
Wow.
And they go all the way up to high school?
Yeah,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel like we have work to do. You know, we really do.
Yeah.
For
I think it's just
next
a
generations.
convincing part of having a separate funding. Because like when you look at any church that is like they have, as Abuna said, their financial struggles. They need to pay their mortgage or cutting their grass. You
Yeah.
name it, all the electricity.
But the tuition, actually, the schools can be very, very rich. I mean, with the tuition and a lot of kids, I think one of the schools in Sydney, it has 1,200.
1,200?
Yeah, so students, so there are many. So with that, all this tuition, yes, you can be supported by a very, very good teachers and famous teachers, and academically you will be very great.
So, Abuna, with your experience with these schools in Egypt and Australia, and I guess in evaluating the need for them here, what would you say are some real barriers that we have in our way to creating these Coptic schools in America?
As we said, the barriers, we talked about it, it's a financial barrier, the first one.
Yes.
The awareness of our congregation, because if you build a building and you find most of the people not Coptic, it will hurt you. Yeah, it will be a benefit also, the church and others, but still you need your kids,
Yeah.
especially. You build that for your kids.
It looks weird if it's a Coptic school and it's all non-Coptic kids and the
Yeah.
Coptic people don't go. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
So Tina, you bring up a good point. So could you see this church being a way that we evangelize and teach others about the Coptic Church?
Yes, of course, because in our schools you will find a lot of Chinese, a lot of Korean and Australian, like in Sydney, and you find them learning Coptic language.
Yeah, wow.
It's part of the curriculum, and the history of the church, which it is very important. And it's amazing that you find a Korean girl telling you about the history of your church.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Of course, it's evangelism, a good way for evangelize others and their parents when they meet us. Hi, Father. Hi, Father. Even in DC, when I go to see the kids there and their parents, all of them are Americans. Very rare to find Coptic, but you find also the people. They understand what is Coptic, what is father, and a Korean banker I dealt with, she said, my son is in your school in San Mark, and I think I will come to this church. I like it so much.
I feel like, I mean, if the parents see a noticeable difference in the behavior of their children, and if they're impressed with the values they're bringing home, that's going to draw the parents also to want to join the church and bring people and talk
Evangelism,
about it.
it's part of the schools.
That's really amazing.
And if the school is so good, those children grow up and send their own children.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what about teachers? Like, are the teacher all Coptic in
No.
the schools, or they're just mixed based on their degrees?
No, actually, they have to be qualified.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, even the principal, he's not Coptic.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But how do you stain, like the standard, like...
There is a
the
chaplain, a father,
Okay.
of a Coptic father.
Okay, so there's
He's
like a father
chaplain.
of the school that like kind of...
Yeah.
Is he
A
the
spiritual one.
spiritual principal?
He's kind of like
Not
headmaster,
principal.
and then there's a
Okay.
principal.
No, he's not headmaster.
what a
Actually,
headmaster
he
is.
took only the spiritual side. He teach the kids. He pray with them, liturgies, and that's it. But he has nothing, no rules in the school itself.
But he reviews the curriculum and makes sure it's all like within the guidelines
No, the
of
committee. The committee
There's
are
a
Coptic.
committee, I
The-
see. Okay.
The committee
Okay.
itself, all of them
so
are
the
Coptic.
Okay.
chaplain is the priest, the spiritual part, then there's a principal, manages everything, and then there's a committee
That decide
that
everything in the
decides
school.
everything.
It's like that's so legitimate because
Yeah.
that's
I
how
know. I
schools
like
work.
that.
Like,
Yeah.
that is, there is a committee, you
Yeah.
know, there's the school committee and there's the principal, and that's exactly like I love that it's so structured
Yes.
and it's so official.
Yeah.
It's not just like anything that we threw
Yeah.
together. Like it's very official,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that's why it was so successful.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Thank
Good.
you. Thank you
Most
so much,
welcome.
Abuna,
Thank you
for
so much.
coming and speaking to us about that today. I appreciate it.
It was a blessing to be with you.
It was our
Thank you.
blessing.
It's our blessing.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
See you next time.